Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Illuminated Mind Podcast with me, Matthew Brownstein. I'm the founder of the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy and the president of the International Association of Interpersonal Hypnotherapists. And I'm here with a very special guest, Mr. Matthew Langford, who is a graduate of the school. You moved through our supervisor training. You're now an instructor at the school, and you stepped up to the plate to start presenting at our conferences and also leading community-based stuff in your area. So, first of all, welcome, Matthew, to the podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Why don't you tell us about yourself, your background, what got you into this kind of work?
Yeah, so my name is Matthew Langford. I'm clinical and transpersonal hypnotherapist. I think I graduated about 4 years ago, but I've been in a teaching role for about 2 years now.
Mhm.
Prior to this, I did an array of different jobs. So I've worked in the medical field as an EMT, doing 911 for different ambulance companies. But about, I would say 13 years ago, I had a profound spiritual experience, and that experience led me to searching for life's truths. It's been kind of an up and down path with different, doorways and avenues, but eventually that path led me to wanting to do a profession to help alleviate people's suffering. Found the school of Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy. Out of all of the schools that I did check, this school had more of this spiritual wisdom and the deepness that really resonated with me. 4 years later, I'm here, and it's opened more doors than I would have never thought. If you asked me even 10 years ago that I would be speaking at a conference about meditation and enlightenment, I would think that you're crazy. So yeah, happy for the growth, and I'm excited for what the future can hold.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. And as it is the Illuminated Mind podcast, we always go as deep as we can. So let's talk about the essence of the work. So you've been through the training, you're teaching with us now, presenting conferences on meditation. What would you say? I heard relieving suffering of others for sure. What would you say it is that really motivates this work? Is it just because you can make money in a career? Is it just because you make more friends? I mean, those aren't, I think, the deeper answers. What would you say one of the deepest answer is about what motivates you to do this work?
Yeah, I think naturally, when you've tasted freedom, when you've felt that, the only natural reaction to that is to share it,
Hmm.
and it's a gift. And so I think the byproduct of that is making friends, making money. But once you've tasted that bliss, that consciousness, connectiveness, the
Hmm.
only thing that you can do is tell someone about it, because you spend most of your life in identification with the self, suffering, ego, this character. And when that disappears or relaxes, there's this other side of the world that you didn't know existed. And because of that, I think it opens up your heart in a way where it's it's almost a necessity to share. It's
Hmm.
if you knew someone's house was going to be burning on fire the next day, you wouldn't just pray for. You would tell them, "Hey, there's something going to happen. Save yourself." And I think if we continue just to live our life in identification, in this conditioned structure, that we're going to a place that leads to a dead end. We're
Hmm.
trying to get to a bicycle that's chained up, and they're like, I want to be free, but ultimately, where we're going is someplace that doesn't lead anywhere.
Hmm.
So even if you've tasted just a glimpse of that, you have to tell people. You have to say there is freedom. You don't have
Hmm.
to suffer anymore. That character that you were playing, it can take a vacation. It can relax, and so I think that's
Hmm.
my motivation for that.
Yeah, because you've experienced it for yourself, you just want to give it away. You want to share that with the world. I know you use the word profound. I use that word about when I woke up spiritually. It was a profound shift from everyday reality. I realized there's something so much more. And then I kept finding ways about how do you give that away? I mean, most people seem to get into this path because they're suffering, right? They're just searching for something. But I know for me, and I hear that you had an experience that catapulted you into it. Not necessarily that life was just so bad that I started looking for different ways to get better, but I had experienced something that was so awe-inspiring, so profound that I needed to find ways to give it away. My path led to hypnotherapy because of what I realized about the nature of the mind in keeping us from the experience. Why would you say you went into hypnotherapy? Because I hear you saying you want to share the teachings, but you could have done that through many different paths. Why hypnotherapy?
Yeah, hypnotherapy, I think it's very special because it involves really direct recognition of the conditioned self. So, in a lot of Eastern practices, um, it's not really even about getting rid of the ego or trying to get rid of this conditioned self, but to intimately know it. And the
Mm,
only way that we can intimately know it is by direct observation. And so, what hypnotherapy does, using states of trance and um, you know, different modalities that work with our past story, when we intimately observe those and understand these are the characters that were playing in my head. This was the chatter. This was the story that I held on to so long. Now, through that, I can find forgiveness and love. And
mm,
what I love about hypnotherapy, a lot of other spiritual practices are about maybe understanding what happened or trying to come up with some new strategies of how to deal with that. Well, I can act in this way and that'll protect me a little bit more from the world, or I can create other strategies. So what I feel with hypnotherapy, it's not about adding more things to you. It's not about let's add this practice and this identification, this practice. It's I tell my clients it's about dehypnotizing. You're
mm,
already hypnotized by the past, and so we have to look at the past and not not getting rid of it, but looking at it through new perceptual lenses of love, forgiveness. And until we've opened our hearts to forgive the things that have happened to us, then that character that holds on to it can relax its grip just a little bit more.
mm,
And we can't change the past, but we can change how we look at the past. And
mm,
so it's almost this translucent looking at life where you see the things arising and passing. Maybe some things are not pleasant or we see things happen to us, but instead of it having this solidified structure, we notice that it's there, but we can see through it, past it, to the wisdom, the truth of it, that this
mm,
is just arising and passing.
mm,
Anicca, right? Anicca, the law of impermanence. And when we have that knowledge, it doesn't matter if our past was terrible or things that are happening now are bad.
mm,
We can respect, observe, love, and then allow it to pass. And we can
mm.
be in the now. We can live in love.
Beautiful. So when we look at the past, we're able to clear it, we're able to forgive it, we're able to let it go. And then I hear you saying we basically move back into love, into bliss. In the model that we use in the school, which of course you know, core transformation, those words, peace, love, joy, bliss, oneness, really are the core state. And we move our clients through their pain, through the past, into that. And I had somebody recently say to me, Matthew, after when I was going through the school, I didn't get why you thought that was so important. I dismissed it. It's like, love, whatever. But the teaching is basically once you're in the core state, you're experiencing the essence of your being, peace, love, joy. It always changes the problem. I wonder if you can comment on your experience about why it's so important to bring people there. Because we can move people through their pain into confidence, through their pain into feeling safe, through their pain into being more outgoing. But why, it seems like you've come up with the same conclusion, why is it so important to guide them to the core state into love as the solution to all problems instead of thousands of problems, thousands of solutions? You seem to have come to the conclusion that I did, which is no matter what the problem is, we're going to be able to move them through it, but the result, the goal, essentially is always the same. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts on that?
absolutely. I think in Western society, we think of love as an experience.
Hmm.
But I think this hypnotherapy teaching, I think what you base the school on is love is the absence of all of those things that we brought together. So love is not
Mm,
something where I obtain. I'm not
mm,
going to get love. Love exists, but
mm,
until the seeker, the doer gets out of the way, we can't truly be it. So I view love and why it's so important because it just is. It's there regardless or not if we seek for it or not. And
mhm,
most of us, we spend our life seeking for something, love, but that love is only the experience of love.
mhm,
Well, I need to do this in order for me to feel love. And we do something in core transformation where, as you know, we bring them up to the core state and then we reverse it. Can you see that this is contained in it? Can we see that this is contained? And we realize that all of those things that I thought I needed to feel love, all of
mhm,
those things were already contained in love. And so that's the aha moment where you mean I didn't need the new relationship. I didn't need this. I didn't need that to feel love. All of those things were contained in love. So instead of adding more things to my life, instead of obtaining this, I can just step into love. And for me, love is not, it can be manifested in action, but it's not an action. It's not an experience. Love is the absence of the duality of you and me. And so
mm,
when we look at the past, normally we look at it as this is me, that's them. They did something bad to me. That's duality, right? We do something in the training called the forgiveness and passion formula. And what we do is we turn the mirror onto ourselves. Have you done anything similar? Yes. Are you inherently evil and deserving of punishment? No. Are you just a human? So we mirror ourselves. Then we have them look back at the antagonist. Can you see that they are just like you, just a human? And
mm,
what that does is it collapses duality where they are not different than me. I am not different than them. And when that ego character starts to collapse a little bit, now there's union. And
mm,
union equals love. Union is
mm.
the ending of separation.
Mhm. Beautiful. So you're coming clearly to the same conclusion, which is the core state, a state of love, a state of oneness, which is not a doing or an experience, it's a state of being, is the solution to the issue. But I wonder if you could elaborate on why that state? I'm hearing, oneness that gets to a place where I might act differently. If I know you're my very own self, I might stop attacking you. I might start being nice to you if I know that we're one. Right? But I wonder if there's somebody who's still saying, I don't get it. Can I use hypnotherapy just to lose weight? Why are you saying like it's the return to love through forgiveness into oneness that's so important? Because lots of people come to us just because they have a certain goal. But, of course, in our school and in our conference, we emphasize facilitating enlightenment. Like that's so important to get people to as close as they can in any given session to self-realization. I wonder if you could elaborate on why that's even more important than maybe their goal, the client's goal in and of itself.
Yeah, I think there's a short-term goal and a long-term goal. A
Hmm.
lot of clients come to us because they've isolated some behaviors or symptoms in their life, and they're like, something feels off. I want to change this.
Hmm.
But the problem with that is we can fix and help you lose weight or find some understanding in the situation. Then we graduate from being your client, we move on, but guess what? Something else might happen to us in life.
Hmm.
And unless we start to see things with a different perceptual lens through the lens of wholeness and one, we
Hmm.
fix this problem. Unfortunately, life, guess what? You're going to have one thing after the other. And then we get in the cycle of just craving and aversion. Oh, I fixed this problem. Everything's good for a while. Up, something else unpleasant happening to me. Now I'm suffering again. Up, now I need to fix it. Work on it. Okay, it's fixed. Good. I can relax now. Then
Hmm.
something comes. And then we're in this constant state of trying to fix. But why don't we just zoom out?
Hmm.
All of those things, it's a law of neutrality. Everything is neutral. It's only when our mind grasps onto something and says, well, this hurts me or this does this. What if we can zoom out and see all of those things as just, oh, they're passing away. They're
mm,
coming
mm,
and passing away. So yes, it's important to fix those little things. But it's like you take your car in for a diagnosis. All of these things are wrong with it. It's like an old car. It's probably going to break down, and the mechanic is only going to fix. I'm going to give you an oil change. Okay, you drive your car. It's going to last for a little bit. Something else happens. Then you have to come in, bring it in again.
mm,
How about let's fix the oil. Let's fix the light. Let's put a whole new engine in. Let's put new, uh, fluids in. That way, same machine
mhm,
but new compartments, new hardware. With hypnotherapy, same person,
mm,
but new heart and mind that is perceiving old stuff. And when you perceive the old stuff with the new mind and heart, then
mm,
that old stuff becomes love. It becomes beautiful. It just is.
mm,
And so I think that's what makes this work so powerful. We're not fixing the symptoms. Holistically, we're looking at everything. How can you suffer love? How can you look at the problems that are arising with more compassion and love?
mhm. Beautiful. And most likely only if you're coming from a place of compassion and love can you look at the problems and see it through that lens. So I love the way you're describing. It's almost like a rebuilding of a person. Like, okay, yeah, you have this one issue. However, in A Course in Miracles, they talk about the transfer value of the lesson. If you just know, okay, I used hypnosis because I wanted to lose weight and now I'm doing it, great, but you only really resolve one small problem. You haven't really resolved the problem, which is who are you? Right? How do
Mm,
you truly know yourself? And if you're really rewired that you see everything through compassion and love, then when it's time to make a food choice, like, well, I love myself, so I'm not going to overeat. I love myself, so I'm going to exercise. Obviously, I know the answer to these questions, and my experience has absolutely been get people aligned with their deepest truth. That's the one solution to all the problems. Everything just drops away. So you're talking about the shifts that need to occur, like let's get the new engine, let's get the new this. The way when you were talking, I was like, that just sounds like forgiveness, actually, right? That we're going to forgive and let go of every single illusion in the mind
mm,
because I define forgiveness basically, there's a lot of ways to define it, but just a letting go. Just whatever you're doing in your mind, let that go. Just give it away. Because I don't want to do that anymore. I wonder if you can start by elaborating on what is forgiveness? Because you mentioned something beautiful that all things are inherently neutral, but not while we're looking through perceptual filters and we're still judging, when we're still assessing. So, what happens? What's your experience of what is real forgiveness?
yeah. So for me, forgiveness, again, going back to the dissolution of self. So it's often hard for us to forgive things when we feel like there's such a distance between who I am and who they are.
Hmm.
But when we're trying to forgive a person or something in the past, the reason we can't forgive that because there's something, the character holding on to this sensorial, this sediment of well, I can't forgive them because it's too awful what they did. And so for me, forgiveness is when we relax the grip of the self. And again, going forgiveness and compassion formula, when we realize that that situation, that person, let's say it's a person who wronged you, when I look at that person, not as they are the evil boogeyman, but hey, they're just a human. I'm just a human. They were just doing the best that they knew how to do with their given circumstances and level of mind. And I'm doing the best that I can. And so that comparison, right, builds that bridge between something that was once separate. I'm me, this person's is them. They did something to wrong me, right? When we build that bridge, that's when we can have understanding and those new perceptual lenses come on. I think the more and more you get into this work, and the more the sense of I or that character starts to loosen up more. I think there's less and less moments in life where you start to feel like a victim, like, oh, this person did this, or I'm hurt because of that. I know in my personal experience, the more I went into meditation and this even hypnotherapy, my own work, I noticed it was less and less the moments when I felt hurt by someone. And again, going back to what we were previously talking, it's zooming out and looking at the whole picture, right? Instead of just fixing all of those tiny little things, the more you do this work, the less you realize you get hurt. Because I think hurt, that anger, fear, all of those can only attach to to a sense of self. And when that sense of self starts to relax and you start to see things and others and situations as whole, you become less and less bothered by the little inconveniences.
Hmm.
Maybe you get a flat tire, law of neutrality. Well, it's okay, right? But I think it's easy for someone, and I might be getting off topic, it's easy for someone to push away all of the negative things. But I think in this work, it's about almost being not holding on to even the amazing things. And it's not, I'm not saying that we shouldn't enjoy life, but let's say something really good happens to you as well, right? We want to hold on to it. Now we crave for more of that experience.
Mhm.
And if we don't get that experience, now we're back into suffering. So I think it's a coin with two sides. Negative things can happen to you, which creates suffering, but also craving for things that haven't happened yet, craving for spiritual experiences or phenomena or all of this can also create suffering. So we need to have a state of, I'm happy no matter what, peace under all circumstances. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter if I'm watching a beautiful sunset or I'm tying my shoe, those things can be just as peaceful and beautiful.
Hmm. Nice, because the inside has become peaceful and beautiful, and basically you're just looking through your own filters. When those
Yep.
filters are essentially turned into lack of self, more like there's no individual having to separate me from thee, then when I know we're in that state of oneness, yeah, every moment becomes really precious and sacred. Every relationship becomes sacred and precious. I would imagine somebody listening is saying, well, this all sounds great. But you guys had spiritual experiences. You're both named Matthew. You teach at hypnotherapy school. Um, but a lot of people are carrying so much pain that these topics really almost seem abstract. However, what they're probably realizing is you have to, you said it, you have to look at that to be able to clear it. You've alluded to a few times, like the suppressing of it, the denying it. You'll never get free while you're still bottling up parts of your psyche. When we're talking about, you must clear those perceptions so they're not creating a self-other mentality. Therefore, it always comes down to opening the heart, right? Unless that heart is open and clear, then somebody who's saying, God, I want spiritual illumination. I want enlightenment. I want to be happy and free. I want to be at peace under all circumstances. I want to forgive everything so I can feel one with everything. But then they realize right away, I'm going to have to look at that pain. I wonder if we can talk about opening the heart and what your experience has been working with clients about the importance of that. And maybe those people's reluctance to it, the fear to look at their own fear. Maybe we can help them to feel better about the only way out is through. That if you want what we're talking about, you do need to go through the pain.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to almost demystify this because again, what we're talking about might seem very abstract. And even today, in a lot of spiritual seekers, um, they're waiting for something. So we think that all of this profound insights come when we're sitting on the meditation cushion, or we have to go to some conference or some event or some spiritual gathering to gain this. The truth of all of this, right, lies in the subtle nature of every moment of every day. You don't have to wait to sit on the meditation cushion or meditate. A lot of my clients, there's a resistance to meditation. They're like, I can't meditate because my mind is too busy. I always say to them, that's like saying I can't take a shower because I'm too dirty.
Right.
The reason why you meditate is, and again, meditation is not about clearing the mind. It's not about gaining more peace or trying to have a spiritual experience. Meditation is about seeing things more clearly, observing things that already are happening.
Hmm.
That's the simplest thing that we can do. You can be at home with your kids do something that bother you, and in that moment, without a meditation cushion, without a podcast, without, you can just subtly aware what's happening. What is that sensation, feeling arising. Ah, that's anger. Old way reacts. Why did you do this? Right? And it might not be easy in the beginning. We might react more than we observe, but the more we practice this of just everyday moment, you're chopping vegetables to cook at night, observing what's arising. You're walking to pick up the mail. What's arising with what are the thoughts? And when we do that, we realize it doesn't take someone with years of meditation practice. It doesn't take, um, you to graduate from a hypnotherapy school. It doesn't take some special skill. It doesn't matter what race, religion, background. Everyone has the capacity just to be aware. And that's the beginning. And it might be scary at first, right? Because sometimes we don't want to look. But that's where the special skill of not attaching to it, right? Again, when we notice things come up, they become less scary when we don't feel like we have to fix it. What brings fear is when they experience and see all this stuff and like, I have to change this. This is so bad. But when we just notice something, it's not as scary. It's like, your parents told you have to rake the leaves and you see this huge pile of leaves. Knowing that you have to do something about it causes the resistance of, man, I don't want to do it. But if your parents just said, look outside, look at all those leaves, just notice. That's easy. I can look at it
Hmm.
without needing to control or change or rearrange. And that's the problem with the human nature. Well, is that we always feel like we have to do something, fix something, change something. The fixing is not about doing, it's about not doing. And eventually, all of those things that are arising, when we stop reacting, right? There's a law in neuroscience called Hebbian thinking, or Hebb's law, nerves that fire together wire together. So if something happens to us and I react, it creates that hardwired pattern. But the more I observe and I don't react, those connections will start to prune away.
Yeah.
And guess what? By not doing, not reacting
Hmm.
more and more, naturally, I don't have the craving to speak in a way I don't want to, behave in a way, those old ways. And it's not because I tried to do anything, it was just me observing without attachment. And I think
Hmm.
there's simplicity that's that invites people in. You don't need anything else, just observe.
Hmm. Nice. So yeah, I was asking about opening the heart, and a main thing I hear you saying is you're not what's coming up inside of you. You could observe it, you could step back, you could witness it, and things pass. You're alluding to the impermanent nature of life, and don't hold on to stuff and don't push stuff away. If you can just allow emotion to move through you, as you're talking about in even brain science, things unwire themselves, they unravel themselves if you're not giving in to the to those patterns, right? But you could just observe them and let them pass. And I think you would agree, like basically that is a forgiveness, a letting go process. And there's a limited amount of stuff that you're going to observe moving through of your own patterns. But once those are clear, generally your true nature is everything you'd want to feel, right? You don't have to reinvent yourself on the spiritual level because you are already perfect. And that you can observe your heart opening, clearing, and healing. So you obviously are very into this stuff now. What is it like for you with this as a profession? I mean, I know you're teaching with us as part of your livelihood, of course, now, which is great. But what is it like being a hypnotherapist as a profession? In case somebody's listening and wondering, would I want to do this? What has it been like for you?
Yeah, sometimes, after sessions or working with students, I like, turn off the Zoom, I sit back and I'm like, I can't believe I get paid for this.
Yeah.
And I think this profession has brought a lot of freedom to my life. And so I'm someone who, likes to travel. And so I can work anywhere in the world. I think, in the past couple of years, I've been to 6 countries. I plan a couple trips this year. So if we're looking at it kind of on just an outside level, right? Freedom, financial freedom as well. I'm not having to worry about bills like I used to do. I'm not having to think about, oh, I have to save this. I can go into a store and don't feel any guilt or worry or check my bank account. That's a
Mm.
beautiful thing.
Hmm.
So external freedom, financial freedom,
Mm.
travel. But on the internal, I think it's such a beautiful gift. And I think it's our dharma. If you have a gift, if you've already received the gift, right, it's a free gift. You don't have to pay for it. And so just being able to give this and seeing a client's right eyes when that shift occurs, or let's say you're working with them and they were really struggling with this one thing, and at the end of their journey with you, they've forgiven the past, they've experienced more freedom and peace in their life. What an amazing experience that you had a little drop in their life. And with that, it's like throwing a rock into a pond. Those centrifugal rings, now since their experience and seeing the world through new perceptual lens, everybody around them will be affected. You work with
Hmm.
parents. Guess what? The relationship with their kids, their loved ones will change.
Hmm.
Teachers, professionals. I've had business people, I've had wealthy people. All it doesn't matter where, it affects
Hmm.
whatever aspect they're on their life. And knowing that you're part of that overall mission in life, what a honor and a beautiful experience. And I think it's a duty. If you've seen the truth, it's your duty from now on to share that truth. If
Hmm.
not, then there's no integrity in what you've learned.
Yeah.
You need to share it.
Beautiful. And if you're not in a profession where you really get to share, now, we could all teach love at every moment, but when you're actually facilitating a client's process, and I know that feeling you have at the end of the day where it's like, can't believe I get paid for this. I am so grateful for this. So yeah, you're not worrying about money. You're able to travel more. You feel financially free. You're able to spend any moment with the client doing something that's truly valuable, meaningful, fulfilling. I would imagine, I don't even have to ask this, it's not my next question. Like, could you ever go back to doing anything else? I think that's like, no, of course not. But that's rhetorical. We know that now. I know we didn't plan this discussion, so I hope this doesn't put you on the spot and we'll respect confidentiality. But I'd like you to bring one awesome client session to mind, if you don't mind, while I'm saying this. And then, if you wouldn't mind, tell us the story. What's a very successful client experience that emphasizes what we're talking about now?
Yeah, it was one of my first sessions that came to mind after I graduated. And I was seeing a client who was having relationship issues with her partner. And after a couple sessions, we decided to do regression. And in that regression, she found out that she was abused as a younger child. She had no recollection of this, and so with this, there was a very strong emotional squeezing out that we had. Really powerful session where she was screaming and yelling in the beginning, but you could see in the beginning, right? All of this anger, all of this fear, all of this, right? And the more we progressed, you noticed became less and less. And we did just start talking with her abuser, going back and forth. In the beginning, a lot of resistance. Why did you do this? Why did you switching play, right? But then the more we kept working at it and working, and what I mean by working, it's just switch places. What do you say back? Nothing that you're trying to fix. You're just having that just start having that natural conversation. And at the end, after such a horrific event, she looked at her abuser, the antagonist, and say, I forgive you. And in that moment, I saw her demeanor change, all of that. There was understanding of the past, and it's almost a weight was lifted off, something that was affecting her current relationships. And something horrific happened to her. You know, it was terrible what happens to children, but she was able to let that go and not to change the past. I understand that it happened, but I forgive you and I love you.
Mhm.
And that's such a beautiful thing. And when you can get someone who was abused to look at the antagonist now through, I don't forgive what you did, but I forgive you as a person.
Mhm.
You forgive the person. We don't have to forgive the behavior, but we forgive the person. When that happens, there's freedom. Her heart lifted up. We core transformed her, you know, and then She got out of the session. We checked in a few sessions later. Relationships have improved. She started doing new business ventures. She created, she was into like performances and stuff, and she created her own show. So once that was cleared, then it left room for love and creativity for the things that she wanted. Because if
Mhm.
we're holding on to the past, right, where energy go or where our thoughts go, energy flows. So all
Mhm.
of that energy was going to the past. When you clear that up, your body, your heart, your mind has all this free energy now. And
Mhm.
then naturally it's going to go into the things that you want to do instead of holding
Mhm.
on. So that was, it was an honor to facilitate that. And that was a beautiful experience to watch.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought up that theme because I can't even tell you. I mean, it's thousands now. I've been in the field for like 30 years. Thousands of largely women that I've seen as children were sexually abused. I was shocked when I saw how prevalent that was in society. And yet, what I'm hearing from you is what I've experienced. Even though you might hold it, the client might hold it for decades, those memories, and not even be aware that they're in there. And we have really good training in the school in false memory syndrome, and I don't need us to go into that about how did you do it responsibly. Like I know you did. So we bring to consciousness what's in there. We don't create what's in there. But when it's brought to consciousness, even though it might seem horribly dark and painful and shameful and whatnot, it can be cleared literally in a 2 hour session. And that's what I hear. Like you do this one session, focus on that one memory. The person moves through the dialoguing process with the antagonist and they move through forgiveness back into love and they're free, they're liberated. That's actually the word I've used for this, that when you hold that much pain, when it's clear and it can clear fast, it feels like liberation. And the core state, peace, bliss, love, joy, to to the degree that you clear the pain, to the degree do you feel the intensity of the core state. If it's just like, all right, well, I learned to love myself a little. Well, then you feel a little bit of love, but you clear a tremendous amount of rage. Like you said, that energy has been liberated. And I've seen, let's say that memory is worth 30% of your life force, but then you
Mhm.
need another 30%, an equal amount of force to hold that down. Now you've got 60% of your being invested in keeping that thing out of your mind. Once this part can stop doing it, you got 30% back. This is healed, you get another 30% back. To liberate 60% of your life force is a completely different experience. So I'm glad you've been able to see that with your clients for sure.
Turning the dimmer switch on, the light was already on, but you see the world just so much brighter. And you're like, man, I've been missing out on all of this.
Hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Fear ruins our life and anger ruins our life. And it's okay to have those feelings. The problem is they get stuck, right? We harbor them. We don't forgive. And my experience, this is pure Course in Miracles, is you won't experience enlightenment, God, realization, self-realization, whatever words we want to use for that glorious state that people can achieve. You don't get that when you haven't forgiven others. Like you can meditate all day, you could do contemplative studies, you could do yoga until you're I would say blue in the face, but headstand red in the face. You can stand on your head for 5 hours. And you can sit in lotus pose for 20 hours. You will not experience the divine if you still haven't forgiven that person. And a repressed memory with a lot of bottled up emotion never allows you to experience that oneness with what is. So I'm so glad you're out there doing that work as well. Um, any thoughts, closing words, message as we're getting towards the end of time, something you would share with our audience?
Yeah. And I think the main message I try to tell my clients and students is that even on this journey of spiritual seeking, often we stop at the level of experience. And so what I see, often is that a lot of us were searching for some type of experience. We're
Hmm.
searching enlightenment experience or this aha moment, or this
Hmm.
phenomenon. And we think we have to keep on doing this and doing this. And we incorporate all these spiritual practices. But we have to remember that all of those spiritual practices are meant to be let go of as well. The purpose of the seeker is to wear out the seeker.
Hmm.
If we don't do that, we're going to be seeking all of our life. And again, going back to what we were saying before, it doesn't have to happen in, some spiritual explosion and experience.
Hmm.
Awakening can happen in just the simple, mundane acts of life.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to stop looking and searching for some big moment or some Kundalini
Mm-hmm.
experience and all of that. Awakening is very quiet. It
Mm-hmm.
can, my experience, a lot of people have, an awakening experience that's really powerful, which is beautiful. But again, the stabilization of awakening is just it's very quiet. It comes in silence. It comes in just little whispers.
Mm-hmm.
So just for everyone, you know, stop seeking as well, because even the spiritual seeking can be conditions. There's still
Mm-hmm.
conditions.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to change the mind using another conditioned part of the mind, it might be
Mm-hmm.
spiritual in nature, but it's no different than distracting ourselves with our phone or anything else. We, at the end of the day, there comes a point when we have to just surrender, no
Mm-hmm.
seeking, no doing, and just sit in the silence. And, you know, what the sages have taught is that silence is our best teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Sit in the silence, you observe, and it might be uncomfortable, but when you keep on doing it, when you sit there, you'll get those bits of wisdom. You'll realize this was the false self. What I was looking for, like they say, is what is looking. What I
Mm-hmm.
was seeking was the one who was seeking.
Yeah.
And so that's the message I would like to share.
It's beautiful closing words because emphasizing that enlightenment is not an experience you're striving for is so valuable. Because, yeah, people come to our school, they are seeking, they are struggling, and they think, like, someday if I just have this experience, it's like, no, actually, if you just sit still and let whatever's moving inside of you pass, because, like you said, it's impermanent. The you who's just sitting there, who's silent, who's at peace, realizes, I'm good. I'm totally okay. I love when they've asked the Buddha, what happened to you when you were enlightened? He's like, I just woke up. And basically it gets to the places, I'm just sitting here under this tree. I'm just sitting. And yet I'm filled with peace. I'm filled with love. I'm filled with joy. I don't have to do anything. I am what I'm looking for. Right?
Mhm.
It's basically like the eyeball trying to see itself. It's like, no, you're already that. All you have to do is just be an eyeball. But how do I be an eyeball? No, you're already that. Just stop doing anything else. Stop pretending you're something else. You're
Yeah.
perfect, whole, and complete. And the answer really is the silence, which just says, we're good. Like it's all perfect, whole, and complete, just as it is.
It's a simple teaching.
Yeah.
Just be. I love it.
Yes, for sure. Beautiful. If somebody is resonating with you as a practitioner or they'd like to learn more about the school through you, how can people reach out to you for private sessions or whatnot?
Yeah, you can contact the school. You can email me at Matthew Langford, hypnotherapy at outlook.com. You can also message me on my number, 386-675-2571.
Nice. And a website or social
My
media?
website is making some cosmetic changes right now. So I will
Okay.
update.
But eventually that domain name will be working well. So what is that?
Oh, beyondtheselfhealing.com.
Perfect. Beyondtheselfhealing.com or Matthew Langford Hypnotherapy at outlook.com.
Yes.
Beautiful. Or, of course, you could reach Matthew Langford or Matthew Brownstein through instituteofhypnotherapy.com. Thank you so much for being a guest on Illuminated Mind Podcast. Thank you for being a wonderful staff member in the school, a conference presenter or practitioner, and now starting to lead some meditation groups in your area connect to the school. So thank you for being part of the mission. I sincerely appreciate you. And many blessings, Matthew Langford.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.